In today's health headlines, can stressful live events lead to Alzheimer's? There may be a way to detect multiple sclerosis before symptoms begin, and how demographics can affect access to kidney donation. Joining me is Dr. F. Perry Wilson, Associate Professor at Yale School of Medicine, Yale Medicine physician. Good morning.
Good morning. Always great to be here with you.
All right, a study has found that stressful life events in childhood and midlife are linked to your risk of Alzheimer's disease. So what do we know about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is really fascinating. This is a study of about 1,300 people who had various forms of brain scans prior to the development of any Alzheimer's disease. These people were all cognitively normal, but what the researchers were looking at were these proteins that accumulate in Alzheimer's disease that can be detected on brain scans. And what they found was that traumatic life events, particularly from the youth and middle age, not so much in the older age groups, left what appears to be kind of an indelible mark on the brain in the form of these proteins and might contribute to the risk of Alzheimer's disease down the road. So important to potentially get some treatment, get some therapy for those stressful or traumatic events that have happened in the past.
Boy, no kidding. New research is finding that there may be biomarkers for multiple sclerosis that can be detected years before symptoms begin. What about that?
Another fascinating study about predicting disease in advance, which we seem to be getting better and better at by the day. This is a study that looks at antibodies in the blood. People have long looked for autoimmune causes of multiple sclerosis. It's assumed that there are some antibodies that are driving the inflammation in the brain that causes the disease, but they've been really hard to pin down. This study looked at people in the decade before they were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and found a cluster of antibodies in a cluster of people. So about 10% of people with multiple sclerosis had these antibodies years and years in advance before they developed any clinical symptoms. What's really interesting about these particular antibodies that they harbor is that they seem to be directed not only to cells in the brain, but simultaneously to certain viral proteins, which suggests maybe in a subgroup of people that viral infection in the past causes the immune system to get sort of ramped up in a way that can eventually cause the brain inflammation that we see in multiple sclerosis. Lots more research needed, but really fascinating study.
All right, and finally, access to living kidney donation can be affected by factors like race and neighborhood. Tell us more.
Yeah, it's a subject dear to my heart as a kidney doctor. So for people with end-stage kidney disease who are on dialysis or who will need dialysis, kidney transplant is completely life-changing and life-saving. But the waiting list for a deceased donor transplant can vary between 5 and up to 12 years. That's a long time to wait. Living kidney donation, where you get a donor from anyone, from a family member or a friend or even a stranger, is a much better option. But it seems, according to this study, that availability of those living donors is different depending on where you live, and particularly people from socioeconomically disadvantaged areas or whose hospital is in a socioeconomically disadvantaged area have a substantially lower rate of access to those living donors. That suggests we need to do a little more outreach to those areas to talk about the benefits of living kidney donation, which, as I said, not only save a life, but make a life way better.
All good information. Dr. F. Perry Wilson, thanks so much for being here today.
Anytime.